Hi everyone! Hi akshata! I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes so we get a few more people, and then I will go ahead with the tour. But welcome everybody. I'm just gonna pin something to the comments so that everybody knows who I am. Studio tour with artist Natalie Very B. Okay. Posting. How do I pin this now? Pin comment. Gotcha. All right. Hi. All right. So, welcome everybody. My name is Natalie Very B, and today you are visiting my studio. So, I want to just share a few tips and tricks on how I work from home. That's what I've been doing since actually forever, not even the pandemic. But I want to show you how I organize my space to make it work for me, and so that there's workflow, there's a schedule, there's, stuff going on that actually makes sense for me. So I will start here in the corner and I will just turn you around so you can see how I have everything set up. So here is my basic workspace. I have a very nice soft carpet that kind of gives me a break, but at the same time, this is where I have my artwork, and this is kind of where my books sit. And I have all of my supplies laid out along with my light table, which honestly is a lifesaver. I don't think I could live without a light table. It's so important to have. I have all of my basic supplies, lots of scissors, markers, and my business cards, along with everything that I use for my packaging for all the orders. I also have an Alexa, who is lit up right now, and she is also helpful because I like to listen to music and change it up and not have to worry about switching any buttons. Here's my recent self-portrait that I painted on wood, and it's nice and glossy. I varnished it and it kind of brings in that red in my art space. And another recent piece that I'm pretty happy with, it's actually a thrifted frame that I painted on, and this just brings you to the fact that you can go to Value Village, obviously not now, but you can go to Value Village and find really cool stuff and then repurpose it and make it into something beautiful. So this was just nothing before. I also have my cutting mat here and cutting board, which if you have the chance and you're a professional artist, make sure you get this for yourself. It really saves time, saves lots of effort. It's like $35 on Amazon, and it's lightweight and super sturdy. Now let's move on to my big table. So here's where I really work the most. I have a really big table space because I like to spread out. So every week I buy myself some flowers just to surround myself with inspirational stuff. And I have my gallery wall here. So on the gallery wall, you will see some of my artwork that I put up. It's kind of maybe in between waiting to go to a gallery show, or I just like it. It's like some older work that I wanted to display and showcase and kind of make sense in my setup. So I'll just walk you through here. These are all original paintings. I didn't really put up any prints here. So just stuff that inspires me, that works with my color scheme, and that I like looking at. So this is one of my tips. If you surround yourself with beautiful objects that can inspire you to create more work, that is exactly the goal in a studio space. And my giant table is where I always have my computer. So I start every day with working on my computer, responding to emails, and I also work on my iPad here. And I also have a little chair here. And in this chair, I really love spending a lot of my time because it's super cozy, and if I need to take a break from the world, or if I'm working all day, I just want to take a break. This is the coziest little chair. It's a papasan chair, and it really fits the space. It has a really nice cover, and I feel like it's just my break space. Pretty cool. Now, I want to move on to a really essential element of every studio is to have a printer. And I know it is hard to spend a lot of money on a printer, but if you're an artist, you need a printer and a supply with paper. I recommend getting a Brother laser printer, and it will just save you so much trouble. Printing labels for shipping, printing drafts or roughs, it really is helpful. And around here, I just have inspirational books on the shelf so that if I need a little reference, this is kind of where I go to. Now, I will kind of get you over here. This is the other wall where I have my whiteboard. And I really can't stress enough how important it is to have a whiteboard in your space or some kind of blackboard, some kind of place where you can put either sticky notes. So I kind of remind myself how to, like, what to do throughout the day, or if there's like any deadlines coming up. So there's a few application deadlines that are coming up for me in the next month or so, and I have them on sticky notes. And this way I remember to actually submit by the deadline. And I also write down tasks. So I will write down weekly tasks and put little check boxes next to them, and I use my dry erase markers. And this way I know that this task has been completed. I can move on to the next one. And because it's in my studio space, so I'll show you, if I'm sitting at the table, I am always looking at it. So it's always there in big letters, and it reminds me that there's stuff to be done. There's always something to be done. Now on this wall, I have some other pieces of art that are not done by me. They're either done by my sister, right, this and that, or some other stuff that this one was done by my mom. Some things that are kind of sentimental to me or more meaningful, and I also always want to have them with me and kind of remember about my friends and family. And now this is my glorious painting den. So it is so cool because you get natural light. And this is the only place in the studio that you get direct natural light. So I set up my actual table right here with all my plants. And when I'm sitting down, I have a double cushion, which also makes it, nice and comfy. And I have a natural light lamp. So this lamp really allows me to work at night with the same quality natural light. And here you can see all of my supplies. So my gouache paints, my paintbrushes separated into different categories. So I will have my watercolor paintbrushes, my acrylic paintbrushes, my crappy paintbrushes for little jobs, and I always have 2 jars for paint because we don't want to mix our whites with our darks. So there we go. I have a little box and future projects. Now, here I have some stuff on display that I wanted to show you. These are some of my recent projects that I've been working on. Just some wood panels that I painted on in a little series, and a few of my prints. So these prints are all available in my store, and these I'm actually packaging for orders this week. So if you want to check them out, you can always go to my profile and click on the Etsy link and check them out. But this is where all of this happens. My palettes, as you can see, are really sticky and used, and that's how I like it, because I know that this is my mixing palette and this is my pure color palette where I put all of my cool colors, where, the basics, the white, red, and white. And black, sorry. Now, I do have one more area here in my space that I use, and we will just start at the very top. So here you can see this is all my mural supplies, and they're on the very top because I use them only like a few times a year whenever I'm actually doing big mural projects. So extra paint for exterior latex and some old artworks. So, and now here I got all of this at IKEA, actually, all of the stuff that you can see here. So this organizational unit is super helpful because I have all these boxes, and each box has a function. So in this box, I have all of my envelopes, all of my boxes for shipping, and all of my bubble wrap, for example. The other ones will have painting supplies or whatnot. So here, future projects, and each box just has a different function, which is helpful for me to stay organized. I have my pin making station here with all the glue, varnish, and pin backs, and here I have my packaging station. So I have all of my prints sitting here, my stickers. What else do I have here? All of my ceramic cats and all that kind of jazz. So I like to keep organized because otherwise you will get lost in that space. Here I also have a very important element of my family, which is my new pathos plant that I recently purchased during the pandemic, and it really brings me so much joy. So if you're able to surround yourself with plants and you love plants like I do it, and you will have a really lovely time sitting in your place and actually being inspired and enjoying what you're doing. So let me just give you another tip when it comes to working from home, and that is to divide your space. So as you can see, I divided my space into this one corner, the big table where I do all of my computer work, and the space where I do all my painting. And they're all obviously decorated and there's lots of artwork everywhere, but each space has, oh, thanks Akshata. Yeah, I try to be organized. So each space has a different function. I will not be doing digital work at my painting table because that is just a no-no. I don't want to get water there on my computer. So this big table is where I package orders and where I just do my laptop stuff, such as emails and things. And then over here is kind of where I do my cutting, preparing prints for shipping, and all the other stuff. So what else? Except for just making sure that you use sticky notes and you have a little whiteboard or blackboard or something to write your tasks on. This is one of the best ways to stay organized and to have a routine. So when I wake up in the morning, I am looking forward to that coffee. And I know that when I wake up, I get the coffee, get chocolate, and then I sit down at my desk, and first thing I do is check the news and check all my emails and respond to them. And from then on, I kind of look at my board and figure out what I need to do today. So it's good to have a stable sense of routine, whatever that might mean for you. So figure that out for yourself, whatever works for you. We're all different, obviously. And I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all of my tips for that. But I also have a couple of questions that I wanted to answer that came from Arts Etobicoke. And thank you, Arts Etobicoke, for having me, for letting me do the studio tour and sharing this with you. So what is something that people don't know about me? I think the fact that I never did any drawing or painting until I actually went to art school. So for my entire life, I didn't really consider being an artist as a career. I was always supposed to be a doctor or training to be one. And then I didn't know what to do when I was 19. I kind of just went to art school, and it's become a career. So that only proves to you that if you want to do something, you can, and nobody's gonna stop you, because we can just achieve our goals, whatever they might be. What else do I have? What do you do in your spare time when you're not creating art? And I actually recently I've been doing a lot of sewing. So I have a sewing machine here under the table, sitting and waiting. And that might not, but that's probably the least organized part of my studio. And I'm actually making fabric masks to donate to seniors and other health centers. So I'm doing that and figuring out how to sew well versus how to sew poorly, which I did before. So that's kind of the new thing I'm doing. Otherwise, I really love biking and spending time in nature because that really inspires me. And what is the go-to meal? I cook for my guests, and I would probably make spaghetti because I love spaghetti. It's the best. Noodles are the key in the pandemic. But I would love to see if maybe any of you have any questions for me, if you want me to go in depth with any kind of process of how I do anything in the studio. I would love to share with you. So feel free to shoot some questions my way. Oh, and I've been working with Arts Etobicoke for about 2 years now, doing various projects, and it's been a wonderful collaboration, and this is just another opportunity for me to showcase my work and actually collaborate with you guys and be a part of the community. So, does anybody have questions? Please type them up. How do I draw inspiration in these crazy times when nothing feels normal? Nothing does feel normal, I agree. And for the first two weeks of the pandemic, I was very down on myself, and my creativity was pretty down. I was spending most of my time just lying on the carpet and sitting next to the fireplace, trying to, well, get used to the world now that it is different. Now that we have to stand in line to get into a grocery store, and now that, you know, everybody's just so distant and far away from one another. So I try to go for walks and kind of take in the nature now that spring is around the corner, and be inspired by the people and beautiful messages that you can see in the community. And I also find that bringing hope and quotes that kind of inspire other people and make sure that to let them know that everything's gonna be okay eventually. And I do believe everything will be okay, and we will get through this, and we will be at some sense of normalcy at some point. I have a problem with getting grants and collaboration. Any insight on this issue? Grants are really hard to get, and even organizations such as Arts Etobicoke, they work so hard. They have a team of grant writers, and they work so hard to get grants each year. And you don't always get the grant that you want. And especially in these times, it's hard because if you haven't received a grant in the past, a lot of the time you're not gonna get it. So my first step is to research books on grants. And there's this one book, I unfortunately cannot remember the title, but if you, Atessa Art, if you message me on Instagram privately, I will send you the link to that book about grants. It is a lifesaver. It changed everything for me. It gives you an exactly step-by-step of what they expect in your grant writing. So grant writing is really tricky, and you have to follow it to the T in order to get a grant. Everything has to be there. And everything really has to be tight and concise. And if you just make a couple mistakes, the little things, they will not accept your grant, unfortunately. So that's about that. When it comes to collaboration, now is the time to reach out to people and ask, hey, like, do you want to collaborate on a project? Do you want to bring something out and do something together? I think now is the time to do it, because people don't have that much stuff to do anymore. Like, we're still working, obviously, but we are trying to get our names out there. So really reach out to a bunch of people on Instagram, reach out to your friends, and see if they want to do something together. I would really encourage that. How can we add some supportive art around our neighborhood legally? I don't think this is a question for me. This would be a question for either Arts Etobicoke or Start Toronto. I would love to do this. I would love to have an opportunity to actually create some art on, let's say, abandoned buildings that with hopeful messages, or something on sidewalks. But I don't think anything permanent is allowed at this point when it comes to legal stuff. I think you could probably try using chalk art maybe, and if it's not a rainy day, you kind of just spread the message this way. But otherwise, I don't really know how to go about that. But maybe Arts Etobicoke has an insight. Not sure. Anybody else has any questions? Other than that, it's pretty much my studio. Yeah. I really love being here. Just to let you know, if you love being in your space, you will feel inspired to create more art. And there are a few ways you can, for low price, you can make your space the way that you want, and that is repainting the walls. Like, I repainted this whole place into this like really nice snowy owl, pinkish white that brought all the light in, and kind of just put everything together. I got a blanket, I got a little carpet, like all these little things are what makes a good studio. Could you speak about the murals that you have done and experienced in public art projects? So I have done a few murals for Start Toronto as well as Women Paint. I've been really lucky to be a part of those projects, and I did the Women Paint mural in North Etobicoke. That was a really meaningful project where all women get together and paint inspiring images that are all by female identifying painters. So that we really have to thank Arts Etobicoke for organizing that and helping us with that. And, I remember 3 years ago when I first started thinking about being a muralist, I was like, oh, I just want to be a muralist so bad. And I didn't know how to go about it. So, because you have to prove that you can complete a project on a big scale in order to be approved for any project. So my first guess would be start with the outside the box project or the bike lane mural project through Start Toronto. They really accept newbies that don't have a real experience with mural art, and they will let you get that experience. So that is one thing. And then, 3 years later, I've done many murals, indoor, outdoor, on boxes, on lakeshore barriers, on walls, on a bunch of stuff. So if you get in once and kind of keep going, you are able to become a good muralist, and you learn as you go. Why did you choose red, white, and black as your main color palette? At the beginning, for me, it was, I think, coming from my heritage in a sense that I'm Polish, and the Polish flag, surprisingly, is white and red, and the black was just my outline color at all times. And I find that it was my comfort zone. I couldn't do black and white only. And in school, I was like, I didn't know how to use color. So I added red because it was like a nice, bold statement color. And it, over the years, just became a thing for me. And I'm kind of developing into something that creates, again, makes a statement. Is bold, is vibrant, and it's gonna become my style. And I feel very confident doing that. I also love color, obviously, but it's just the black, red, and white. They have so much meaning for me and so much depth. I kind of stick with it. Is your studio in your home? Do you live in it, or do you just go there on a routinely basis? So I am actually extremely lucky. My studio is in my home. So I have a half of my apartment is my studio, and the other half is the live-in space. So again, it's super, I wake up and I'm in my studio. But if you don't have a big enough apartment, unfortunately, you would have to rent a studio space, and it's a lot harder to get yourself in it because you actually have to make the trip, get up, make yourself go, and sometimes you just don't feel like going or leaving the house. And especially now, it's like, well, you just have to stay home. So I am lucky to have it, but my pro tip is to, if you are able to, divide a section of your studio, of your home space, into a studio space. This doesn't mean it has to be as big as mine. It can be as big as just one table set aside for you to work in, or one table and maybe a little space here where you put like a cabinet or some drawers, and you organize your supplies. And this is now your zone where you create and nothing else happens here. Like, you have to really separate yourself and create that mindset where you're like, okay, well, this is my studio, this is where I do my work. Outside of it, I do a living life. So it really helps you stay motivated, because when you're in this zone, you feel like you are working. And I would just recommend doing that and kind of beautifying that space, making sure that you want to work in it. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for the questions, and I am so grateful that you guys actually came out and took some time to listen to me and to take a look at the studio tour. I'm really grateful for Arts Etobicoke, and I hope you guys stay safe and healthy and stay home as much as you can and do beautiful, beautiful work. So this is just a quick little last look at the studio, and have a wonderful day. Bye guys. Thank you.